In this video, we're going to do some guided exam question practice on question 2 of the 2019 Junior Cert Science paper. The topic was of density. This question was worth 15 marks. Okay, so as you can see here, 15 marks. And we already learned that 15-mark questions have approximately 5 minutes time for it to get them done. Okay, so it's not a lot. You do have to be on the ball, you have to be ready to go. Okay, so what I want you to do now is get yourselves a timer, set it for 5 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and start the timer and get going. All right, so let's read the question. Okay, so first of all, question 2. It said a student was asked to measure the density of a block. Okay, so it's a block. Now asked to measure the density. The dimensions of the block are shown in the diagram. Okay, so here's some important information. There's information we need to know in the diagram. So what do we know? Well, we know the block has 128 grams. Okay, so the block is 128 grams, and we're told that the mass of the block is 128 grams. So mass is 128. And we're also told that the dimensions of the block are 4 centimeters high, 8 centimeters wide, and 2 centimeters width. All right, so let's go to the actual question now. And you're either doing this in your exam papers or you're doing it in your copy. So it's part A, okay, and we're asked to calculate the volume of the block, So the first thing you're going to need to do is write down the equation for volume of a solid object like this. What is the formula for this? So pause the video, write down the formula for volume. Do it now. Okay, so you should only be playing if you've written down the formula for volume. Formula for volume, we do the length, multiply it by the width, and multiply it by the height. That's what we got to do to get the volume of a solid object like this. Okay, so now that we know that, I want to pause the video and do this for the dimensions in question. Pause the video, do that now. Okay, so this is what we should have done. We should have, for the length, we should have subbed in 8 centimeters. The width, we should have subbed in 2 centimeters. And the height, we should have subbed in 4 centimeters. Okay, and that's because that's the length, the width, and the height. Okay, and get your calculator out. If you didn't already do that, now that you know what you have to do, pause the video, get calculator out, and finish off the sum. Okay, so you should only be playing the video now if you have done this. So 8 by 2 is 16, and by 4 then is 64. So you should have got 6. Sorry, this pen is a bit thick. I'm just going to decrease the size of it. Okay, so 64, and the units then, well, what have we done? We've multiplied centimeters by centimeters by centimeters to give us centimeters to the power of 3, centimeters cubed. Okay, so that is how you get the volume of the block. Okay, so hopefully you got that right. Let's go to the next bit. It says part B, so in a different highlighter. Part B, calculate the density of the block. Include the unit for your answer. So we need units and we need density. Now, this is a formula that you may already know. If you already know the formula for density, go ahead, pause the video, write down the formula. Do that now. Okay, so maybe you did this already and maybe you didn't. If you don't know the density of the if you don't know the formula for density, I'm going to show you how to find it. We find it in these things called the formula tables. Okay, so the log tables are the formula tables are things you can ask for in the exam. Okay, and it comes in a little booklet. You're allowed to have them for maths. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. But you're also allowed to have them for science. You have to ask the examiner, can you have them? So it's really important that you do ask for them. And then in here, it has things like your periodic table, stuff like that. But it also has certain physics formulas that you might need. And where we would find these is in the section of mechanics. So page 36, in around here, in around this section. So if you've have your log tables, go ahead, open up. Your log tables might have slightly different page numbers, but hopefully you'll be able to find what we're talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to page 36. Where are we at? Page 36. Okay. Here we go. So this is the start of mechanics, and we're looking for the formula for density. So I don't see it there. 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 Oh, maybe I do. Hold on. I'm just going to, yeah. So again, I want you to pause the video. Density is on that page. Pause the video or write down the formula in your copy or in the exam papers where we're looking for density. Okay, so hopefully you've written down the formula. Here it is here. Density is this. Okay. So this is the symbol for density. Hopefully you can figure out what M and V are. Okay, if not, we'll talk about it again in a second. I just want to show you some of the other things here that we might need. So in an exam question, we learn about power. Okay, we also learn about percentage efficiency. You see this equation is here for us as well. Sometimes we also talk about, what else do we talk about? Pressure is here, force over area. Okay, and I think that's it for us, but there is a few of them there as you see. So don't be afraid to ask for the formula tables in the exam. So there's the formula. Density equals M over V. So we're going to go back now to our exam papers. Here we are. And we're doing density equals M over V. Now, I want you to pause the video and write down what do you think M means and what do you think V means. Pause the video, do that now. Okay, so beside them, hopefully you said that M means mass. Okay, and if you didn't get that, hopefully now you can pause the video and write down what V means. Okay, so V means volume. So we have an equation now, M over V. Okay, so mass over volume. Well, if you look back up to the question, we were told earlier that the mass is 128 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sub in that number, 128. Jesus, that marker. Sorry about that now. 128 grams divided by, what's the volume? Okay, well, the volume is what we worked out up here. So go ahead, pause the video, write it down. Okay, so 64, and that's 64 cm cubed. So now we've got a sum to do, a division sum. 64 divided by 128 divided by 64. Pause the video, get your calculator and do that sum now. Okay, so when you do that, 128 divided by 64, you're going to get an answer of 2. But 2, that's only the number part of this sum, where we divided the number 128 divided by 64. Remember that this is also dividing grams by centimeters cubed. Now that can't give us a number over here, but what it does give us is a unit. So it gives us the unit grams over or per centimeter cubed. And that's the unit that they asked us about over here, include the unit. So grams per centimeter cubed. So now we've done both parts of the question. We've got the number 2 and we've got the unit grams per centimeter cubed. All right, last question. So let's help you read it. It says the photograph below shows 3 glasses of water labeled A, B, and C. So 3 glasses and the substance is water. An egg was placed into each glass. The photograph was taken when the 3 eggs were stationary. So what does this mean? So stationary just means they weren't moving, not moving. They're staying still now. Okay, so down to the actual action bit. What does it want you to do? It wants you to say which glass contains the egg with the greatest density. Okay, so that's the first bit. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down in red which glass. Okay, so which glass? Pause the video, write down which glass you think. Okay, hopefully you said glass C. So glass C has the egg with the greatest density. Next bit, it said give a reason for your answer. So I want you to write down in red, reason. Okay, so go ahead and write down what you think the reason is for this. So what reason is it that you think C has the greatest density? Pause the video, do that now. Okay, again, this shouldn't be too hard. We saw this before, we've learned about this. We said things with greater density sink more. Okay, So the one that's lowest here, you might have said C is lowest, and more dense things sink more. Okay, so that's the key thing. Okay, density is related to flotation. The higher the density, the less it's able to float, and the lower the density, the more it's able to float. So the reason why I've gone for C is because objects with greater density sink more. Okay, so C has sank the most, and that's why. All right, so pause your timer now. We might have gone a little bit over again. This is only the second video, so I'm explaining things in more detail than I normally do. But now it's time to correct them. So very quickly, we're going to grab the marking scheme. We're going to pull it over and we're going to correct our answers. Okay, so the first question, as you see, is worth 3 marks here. 3 marks. And the correct answer was 64. That's what we got here, 64. So that was for 3 marks. We got the 3 marks. We then had the density, which was, there was 2 sets of 3 marks here. The first one was for the number. You got 3 marks for that. And the second was for the unit, grams per centimeter cubed. You got 3 marks for that. So you only give yourself the 6 marks if you got both of these right. There's 3 and there's the second 3. So you got to have the unit and the number, or you only get half of the marks. Okay, so it's really important to include your units when you're doing calculations. The next one, for the last 6 marks here, we were asked to say which one is the higher density. That was 3 marks, and then give a reason. Okay, so as you can see here, C is what we said. It's what 3 marks, and then a reason. Well, what have we said? It sinks the most, or it sinks to the bottom, or it's the lowest one. Well, we've said it sinks more than the others, or that's the same as sinks most. So that's worth 3 marks. And again, we're only giving ourselves the marks if we've written about its position, where it is, that it's sunk more, that it's lowest in the glass, or it's at the bottom of the glass. You've got to have included them things. If you didn't talk about that, you can't give yourself the mark. So I got 15 out of 15 there, and I'm happy about that. Hopefully you got the same, you're realizing that that's not too bad of a question. All right, so that's density. We'll see you in the next one.